All right, so this is that special ABS master cylinder power booster all in one unit here. And if you listen carefully, if you look at this hose, you can see it vibrates. Now, this car only has 70,000 miles. And I would say let's convert it to another style of brakes with the vacuum brakes. And it turns out most of them had this anti-lock brake stuff, but it only has 70,000 miles. And that motor is pretty, like, whisper silent. Right now we have an exhaust leak. I got to sort out, but let's see what happens if I leave the key on. Look what it does. It's just constantly going off. And that's because I personally think, I could be wrong, because the only way to do it is to try. But the light is always coming on when I hit it and stuff, and there's brakes, but there's no panic stop. But these cars had a notorious problem with the brake bleeding procedure, and it's something ridiculous, and I have to research it again. But I know the first step is to pump the brakes 30 times to depressurize the system with the key off. Okay, so once you get it depressurized, then you can get the air out. I just feel like over the years nobody has bled it right because it's not your typical car. That's why they were hated, the system, So in the end, I think this is totally savable, and it's such low mileage. That's not loud. Like the loud that I was talking to the customer about was like, I'm like, does it pulsate? And she's like, yeah, it pulsates, but it's you hear nothing in the car. Like it's so loud that you usually can hear it like big time. So I mean, I had Dodge Caravans. I used to ride them all the time. They had the same setup, the same power brake booster system, and they used to make a ton of noise. I used to hit them with a hammer to get them to go again, and they would still work. But ultimately, I would say that my goal would be to replace it with a vacuum booster and make it simple. It's not that simple though, because you gotta, I don't know what the proportion valve would be and stuff like that. But in this case, with the low mileage and the fact that it's not really that loud, I heard them way louder. Either there is something wrong, or it just needs to be bled, and it's just trying to compensate for that lack of pressure in the system. The air in the system is just trying to always keep it at a certain pressure, and it can't maintain it because it's just squashing the air in the line. So this is the next project, and we'll do the exhaust and try to fix these brakes. Very loud hubcap. I had to take that off. Couldn't even hear myself think. Take off the hubcap, and it makes absolutely no noise when you shake it. But you put it on the car, and it flexes this part here. This is metal and with plastic on the inside. The plastic is just freewheeling apparently. As you can see, the outside is metal, the inside's plastic. So unless there's a way to, I don't think there's a way to get it out, but or inject some kind of epoxy in there to hold it. I don't see it being reliable. It might be easier just to get another hubcap. But other than that, this thing is, I don't think this is going to be so bad. By the way, every time this car starts, to me, it's not as fast as it should be, and probably going to put new ends on here. Does not look that good. Okay, back on the 92 Dodge Dynasty. I just bled all four wheels. I couldn't get this bleeder off, but I took off the wheel and I hammered on a smaller socket, got it off because somebody stripped it. But as you can see, this hubcap, the plastic separated from the metal and it's all melted. Something probably similar happened to that one. Around here somewhere. There you go. This guy here, and that's why it's rattling, and it just detached, and it's not sticking anymore, so it makes this rattling noise. That being said, I think I bled it right. I'm going to find out. But being that it's melted like this, it makes me feel like there's probably a bad brake hose, maybe a bad caliper. I left the socket on the bleeder because I can't get it off, so I have to buy a bleeder. But if we need a caliper, because there might be other problems wrong with this, and the reason why it got airbound is because the overheats so much that the brake fluid actually boils and turns into a gas. So there's basically air in the line then, and that's why you had a spongy pedal among other things, and why the system, when it gets air in it, it does all these weird things with the pedal. So hopefully it runs better, stops better, I should say. But I should start feeling the pulling if there's an issue. So I got to talk to the customer about that. And then what else? Yeah, needs an inner tie rod, at least on this side. Got my big stick to hold on the brake pedal. That's how I bleed it. Okay, so I just pulled out of the driveway, trickling down the road here. The light stayed on for about 30 seconds and then went off. You can actually hear pressure build up. And the light comes back on every time you hit it. That sucks. Oh well. Let's see if it's any better. It does help to have two people to bleed it. It's still funny, but this would be a lot easier with two people. Zero panic stop, but then it does come back on, and then it does what it does. Pedal sinks. And ultimately, it just goes to the floor. Yeah, like a lot of these things, they might be crappers. I guess it inherently still works like a regular master cylinder in the sense that it can go bad, front to back. So it's kind of weird that front one melted, and then I don't know what's really stopping the car. I might need to just do a second round of this. The type of bleeding that I was doing. Oh, that front left wheel just locked up finally. Maybe I should go faster and then womp on it. It's interesting. So I believe it's a diagonal braking system. So possible the right rear is working. The left front, the right front, I couldn't get the bleeder out until afterwards. So it's a possibility that there's some issue with the there was extra air in that system, in that particular wheel even. I probably wondered what I was doing. It just locked up the left front wheel, so it makes me feel like it's right front, rear left. I guess I'll re-bleed it and see what happens. It's also possible that it's funny when the light goes on, the light goes back off when let's see. As soon as I hit it, light comes on, I'm holding the pedal down. It goes off when the pedal sinks. So that's interesting. So probably needs more bleeding. Not sure if there's any place to bleed on the Master. I don't recall bleeding on the Master. It was really about procedure, which I'm not sure if I have it right. I couldn't find anything on it. It does seem to stop better on normal braking because it doesn't feel hard and not stopping. It feels, firm, but it actually seems like it's stopping. So it's probably just a little more air. Let's see what happens. Okay, so brakes are much better. It definitely feels a little bit hard when you first hit the brakes, but as soon as that light goes off, which comes sooner when you're driving it, it actually, ends up stopping, and it's wet out right now, so I'm locking up the brakes, so they're working, if you panic stop. Actually smoked the tire a couple of times. So here's the problem, is that there was a brake bleeding procedure that I got, and I remembered it now as well. I know you have to pump the pedal 30 to 50 times in between braking, in between pumping and stuff, which I've done. And the way to do it is the left rear, left front, right rear, right front, like nothing you've ever seen before. That being said, I did all that, and it's definitely better than it was. And like I said, I got the stopping condition. But they said the other way you can bleed it is to turn the key, disconnect the battery, pump the pressure out of the brake pedal, and then turn the key on, and the ABS pump will work. And they said it stops working after 30 seconds, which is pretty much what it does. Right now, working like in the first video where it just you have the key on and it just keeps going brrr, brrr. I don't know if it's supposed to do that or not. That being said, this automatic thing, because right now, like if I turn it off and I pump up this pedal, and the pedal felt soft right there. So I don't know necessarily if it's air or if it's the fact that the bleeders aren't getting filled all the way. Hard to explain that, but let me just show you. So you put the key on, and now that it runs for like 30 seconds, I didn't even pump it to 40 times, but either it's losing pressure and it just doesn't have the umph anymore, but it's supposed to be able to brake bleed right there. This is 30 seconds, and when it shuts off, see right now, it shows that it has pressure in it, and then it does this on and off thing, but it's not seeming like it's right. And so I got to, because I had the tires on while I was doing this. It's hard to do all four tires and take off each wheel every time you do it. So I reached over and I was able to get the bleeders pretty easily. But this time I did it again, and then I'm like, there's no fluid coming out of the bleeders. So I'm like, something's wrong here. So I'm thinking that the brake hoses have just enough restriction that the pump is not able to really bleed itself out. It's not right. So because I've seen other cars where you turn the key on and it just bleeds out on its own. Um, I've done it like with the car running. I've done it with the key on. It depends. So it's been a while since I do any of these older cars, but I was more familiar with this at one time, and I was very good at getting the pedal right. And the pedal light is still not going on, still not going off all the way. It's off now, but see that little, see right there, and then it builds up pressure. I'm barely hitting it, and there's not much pedal here. Like you don't have any firmness. It's just very soft right there. And I'm thinking this is like all four calipers are just away from the rotors. So between manually bleeding it and cleaning, like I don't know who's done the brakes on this car. So all the hardware, if they're not properly cleaned and they're not moving and sliding, that can add up. All four wheels just add up to a little bit, because it doesn't take much. When you have four-wheel disc brakes, and this car has four-wheel disc brakes, you lose a lot of pedal. So and I don't trust the brake hoses, because that tire, that hubcap on that side was basically melted, and the car's not stopping bad. It's not pulling or anything like that, but definitely weird. I would say that it should bleed out on its own if it's being said that it should bleed. This is according to the internet. This is one of those just answer things, from a guy from works at a Dodge dealer, and he gave the brake bleeding procedure. So it reminded me, I'm like, that's right, because it was so different. It wasn't diagonal. It's like you have to bleed the left rear, left front, right rear, right front, and it makes a difference. And I remember the guy who taught me this many years ago was just another mechanic that happened to be passing by the body shop next door to me. And then he saw that I had one of the cars, and he told me the clip, and it solved the girl's problem that I had. That was 1998, 99, something like that. So it was pretty interesting. That being said, I really feel that this thing might need maintenance on all four wheels, clean them up, re-lube them. Perhaps I want to say manually bleed, but excuse me. I want to say manually bleed, but it I really feel that the ABS pump should be pumping out its own fluid if you do it, like even for a few seconds, for the 30 seconds that they talk about. So I'm not sure about the brake hoses. I think they're just giving enough restriction, and between the caliper not really sliding at very low pedal, the first inch or two of the pedal, where I feel that it's soft, it's not. And then it builds up more pressure, and then the pedal sinks a little bit. I mean, in order for all this pedal to sink, it's got to have air in it, but it doesn't necessarily have to have air. If the calipers are way far away, there could be something, a pin seizing up, and that takes up for play in the whole system. And if it's not any if this system doesn't sense the resistance, it seems like I could see this doing this, So that's another story. For a minute to do some exhaust work. I unbolted the rear hanger, and I took off a couple of clamps here. I thought, because this was replaced at one time, I thought maybe it was supposed to go there, and somebody just did that because there was some interference with the original one, but it was clamped. So I'm going to take it off the first one because I matched it up. It looks like it's going to go all the way to the front. And try out this new old snap-on bit that actually will lift this off. I just don't know. I've seen somebody use one. It works like a can opener. It has been 20-something years. I never bought one. I don't have a lot of snap-on. I may need two hands. It doesn't damage the pipe. Yeah, I gotta use two hands. I don't know. Can I put this in place? You can see it. I don't know. How about this? Yeah, that's for my light. Don't get cut on that. Okay. That does rip it open like a fucking can. And quickly. I think maybe I should just go in this angle. I sure hope that's recording everything. That is loose. Okay, so I gotta take off the rubber huyas, which might take a little effort. I may have to cut one of this other pipe here, because, hang on. See, because over here, there's a bolt going there, and it appears to be like, where am I? Did I zoom? Apparently I zoomed some accidentally. Worked good for the other thing. Anyway, so I want to unhook it from here, because right there, I don't want that to strip. It may not strip. I could take it off from there, maybe. But if you cut the pipe, you usually get it out. But I'm going to see. It's not something I really need to film. The other one was important, actually. I liked it. I'm so glad I bought that. So I wasn't going to film this, but this is the side that I busted. I had to hammer on a smaller socket to get this going to do these hoses. And every single hose was pretty much stuck on like that. And the other side actually, it was tight, but it came free. The other two in the back, I had to heat them up, and as you can see, there's no more protection because this shit here is corroded or whatever. The rubber just was crumpled. So for the ABS sensors, so that's fun. So now this bolt, it actually unbolts on a bracket. I got one screw right here to release the line to be able to pull it through to get me more room. But every time you want to I'm doing this for diagnosis purposes, and it's like, oh my God, I got to work so hard for that. So once I get this out, I should be able to spin this guy out and then get the torch on it better, because if I try to put the torch on right here with everything hooked up, it goes like this. Well, I guess because it was up close, it was like a big flash constantly. So I was like, let me get it off first by sliding it off. If I get the bracket off, I can spin off the hose. Then I can heat up the nut easier without trying to have to heat up, everything. So I think this is going to work. Figures I make a video and I'm like, yeah, look at this. This is why I didn't do this, because it's not really safe. And I didn't do it. It's like a flash fire. Always something. And thank God I had a set of gold clips there, because the old ones were I was trying to put one back, and it basically wasn't holding very tight anymore. Now there's like a little, I guess there's a safety nut, what do they call that, quickie nut in the back. It clips on, and now it's moving with it. Come on, almost. This is a brilliant idea they had. Gotta kind of hold it at an angle. Come on. How long do they make this bolt, or is it out? And it's just because I'm blocking everything. No, it would have all, other than it being hot. Hey. Now, if you ever get in trouble with a brake hose, it's giving you grief. See what I just did there? I flipped it over. You go like this, and then you get that bracket off out of the way, and now you can heat that thing up. Because all it is just, see, it's just the line nut is just stuck onto the inverted flare. So, when you get your little torch, of course, I really should be getting the bolt buster, but I can turn that down so it doesn't light everything on top. Yeah, like that. Trying to find a way. And not light everything on fire. Okay. So let's see now. Evaporated on impact. But you let it cool off. You let it soak in the PV blaster, and then you set it up. So in the meantime, I'm going to get off this bleeder with the socket there, and let that cool off, and get it all back on, and take it from there. All right. So basically, what I did on all four wheels was go like this, and everything is moving very well. This particular brake, I thought would be a little bit worn more because the hubcap was melted, but something tells me it's diagonal braking system. That's generally speaking how they are usually, in these cars. Um, but it's definitely like the bleeding procedure is totally different. They got to go to the left rear, left front, right rear, right front, and it's very odd. So I'm not sure which way it goes, to be honest. But the left rear wheel, the outboard pad is worn more. So I was like, okay, this is definitely, it's definitely this is got to be hung up. And they were just as free as this. I mean, this moves very, very easy. Plenty of grease inside. It's just not an issue. You could play around with these. Sometimes they get hung up here, but that one, what happens is after it starts to wear, then you only have so much here, and then it kind of doesn't want to go because the accordion rubber, is holding it back, and either that or because this wheel was locked up, the left rear locked up, and then it just all it did was grab the outside, possibly. Usually, it would grab the inside, but it really depends on a few factors of why it does what it does. And most of the time, it's because things are hung up here. Now, I'm not lubing anything. It's moving, and if it was hung up, it's moving now. So I just wanted to take care of that. Unfortunately, there's another set of brake hoses in front of the rear wheels. I guess where the original, like if you bought the rears for a drum brake setup, that's where they would be because it's kind of like over the hump, but on both sides. So I got to still change two more. Unfortunately, I want to see if there's any difference, obviously. So I'll go with this and get this back together and see what happens. All right. Unfortunately, still doing the same thing. You can hear the pump constantly recharging itself. And if I just lay on the pedal, as soon as you touch the pedal, it goes down. When you drive it, it's better than it was, but it's still like if I just keep pumping it, pedal just keeps going down. I guess it's equivalent to like a bad master cylinder that's bypassing. There is some part of the system, I believe, the pressure pump that is on national recall. I don't know if it's a lifetime recall or a one-time replacement recall or what. But I'm going to call the deal tomorrow. It's Sunday, so I can't do that. And I'll ask them if the recall has been, serviced already. If it hasn't, I might as well let them look at it if it's just not going to cost anything, just to perform the recall, and then see how it is. If they say, yeah, there's something else wrong, it's not covered, I'd be like, okay, whatever. I don't want them to diagnose anything, but it would be worth it just to find out. And then if not, we're converting to vacuum booster brakes, and that's it. Done with it then. Okay, so there's a lot of diagnosing going in, a lot of bleeding, a lot of trying other things, but the pump motor is no good. And it's $500, and it's just easier and quicker and better braking and more instant on braking when you convert it to, because it has four-wheel disc already. So it's going to be killer. I'm going to show you what I got when I get down to it. I'm going to start taking this apart, and then I'll take it from there. The recall was done in 1996. So it's been a long time. The car barely had any miles when it was done. And who knows if they actually did it, but it's not looking like they just do a lifetime recall like other things. Nobody is able to tell me exactly, but it's, like I said, it's not worth it. You want to stop better. It's important to stop. I know ABS can be really good in certain cases, but you know what? If you know how to drive, it's not really an issue. And if you have four-wheel disc brakes, it could definitely stop really well. So I'll show you what I did in a few once I get this whole part. So, word to the wise, what a pain in the ass to get under here. But I got one last bolt here that I'm trying to get out. Where am I? The top right one, right there. And I had to take out this brake switch right here, which I didn't feel the threads. It ended up being a little 5/16 nut. Oh man! And the thing is, I didn't know because I already had taken off this thing, but it was kind of binding. The brake pedal, as you can see, it's like all the way to fuck up here. It's like super spring loaded to go up. And I'm like, what the fuck happened here? So apparently this thing here, or just being connected was holding it up, but this thing basically punched me in the fucking eye. I feel like I was beat up right now. One more bolt and I should get this thing out. What a mess. Look what happens, I gotta show my face. I didn't dye my hair or anything. But man, it got me right here, right? Just missed my eyeball. Hit my cheekbone too. Pretty nasty. Oh boy, I've never seen a car do that. So even though I had loosened the steering column, there's still a bracket here. I guess it's part of the pivot point. That guy right there is preventing. It looks like I have a lot more space. Maybe I can get up and over it, but conventional tools is like a pain in the neck right now. I'm like, what am I going to fit in here? You know, it's very, very odd, I must say. Don't recall having this much problem with the power booster, bolts. It looks like it's straight on from down there, but I can't get the angle with the swivel. And the head of the swivel is too big because I have a deep socket on it. I'm gonna have to go 1/4 inch deep socket and see what happens. Ugh. So ultimately I got it out. I made sure that it was the last bolt because there was no room once I got this on. And I noticed that's why I went to the other 3 bolts originally. Because you have to go with it last, because as you're tightening it, it'll bring it closer and the nut stays in the same place. If it's the first nut you take off, then the ratchet keeps going back and you're going to wedge yourself into the car, basically. So those 4 bolts are out finally. The switch is out. Now I'm going to try to pull this guy out. Should be relatively loose. I'm probably going to need 2 hands, but all the lines are off. As you can see, it's moving. I'm going to get 2 hands on it though. Real quick point before I pull it out. I got the lines off by using, because they were very tight, but the 1/2 inch would not fit, and I couldn't get the angle with the solid ratchet. It kept hitting the intake manifold on the top ones. The bottom ones I pretty much did with this guy, but I really highly recommend you buy these Snap-on, or another brand, whatever, just a crow's foot that's exactly 13. Chryslers there's nothing 1/2 inch on a Chrysler in these years. Everything is 13, and the 1/2 inch don't fit. It's actually a good thing, but you have to have the right tool. Don't try to force on the right tool. Now, I tried to take off this line here, which I know is under pressure, but I depressurized it by pumping the pedal. But I also, it's funny because I only have 2 of these. I have a 13 and I have a 16. I have other brands of these things, nothing crazy. But I couldn't even get it on this guy over here, because last week I was going to try to bleed it from there, but it didn't seem like it's really an issue. So that's why I had, ended up kind of stripping it, because I got a regular wrench on it, but I couldn't get the 5/8 on it, and I couldn't get a 16 on it. So it got distorted. Somebody had that off before, because I didn't go crazy with it. So that's that. All right. So I just wanted to make that point. It's very good tools to have for something like this. For a lot of things, I use this on the 16 on GMs, on the front or the rear wheel drive GMs, to get the lines off. It makes it a lot easier than busting your knuckles with a wrench like that, So now I'm going to pull it out. So I got an angle here. I think there might be a zip tie holding something on. It's a pain in the ass, but I was pulling it and I'm like, oh, I better not mess this guy up here, this plug. And sure enough, it was broken off. So I don't know if I broke it, but it was in there tight. So something tells me that the last guy who actually did service this, actually did that. So good idea to remove that. And, if it still doesn't come out, it'll be a lot easier if I just took off the throttle at this point, but we'll see. Okay, here's a video of the hole. Just to let you guys know what I'm doing now. First of all, these are all metric fittings. I hate to have to go through the trouble of splicing them, because here's the thing. You never know where the car is going to end up, and I'm such a fan of something original, but it doesn't mean that it's better. But you never know if somebody else wants it original. I don't want to kind of mess with the integrity of these lines, although in the end they're going to be compromised anyway because I have to bend them, and I might even not even be able to bend them. I might have to actually, like these two, yes, I can get adapters for, and it's bubble flare, so I got to go bubble flare to inverted flare. I believe it's inverted flare. I got to look. Um, but what I had found is a proportioning valve from a. Oh, before I get to that, man, is this thing heavy? This is a heavy son of a gun, And these things here, these are actually proportioning valves. And since it's a split system, um, although it's not really clear that's how it is on this particular car, because it's possible it's just equal braking to all brakes, because it's not like this one goes to the rear. At least I don't think so. I got to double check. I believe these two just go down to the rear, and these two are the front. But they put a proportioning valve in one of them, mainly because I think that this one and this one work together, and that, I believe it's some sort of diagonal system. Most cars are like that in these years. This guy here, oh yeah, yeah. See, this one's going to the rear. So the one that has the proportioning valves are the ones that are going to the rear. So this is the front. This one's the front. No, sorry. This one's the front, goes on the passenger side there. And this is the front for here. And then you have these two. Now, hang on, I'll make another video. So here's what I bought. This is for an 86 Dodge Daytona with four-wheel disc brakes. It's like the Dodge Shelby Daytona, 86. So it's, definitely vacuum brakes. There's no funny stuff. This pin is a little bent for the switch here. I gather it works. It's going to be hard to say, but you have to think that perhaps it may be best to buy a new one. They're like $30, I think. I was kind of looking at it. I'm like, I'll see it in person. I don't know if this is an adapter or if it has some other weird thing in there. But it's also a diagonal braking system, because this is one part of the master, this is another part of the master. And then, two of these goes to the front and two of these go to the rear. I have a diagram, a dealer diagram of it, So hopefully, because I have really no way of telling. I didn't see a part number on it on the eBay auction. But I suppose if I had taken off this bracket, or at least try to clean it up, I might be able to find something on here. I saw another proportioning valve similar that had a number, but I didn't quite see it with this. It's brass, so I don't think it's going to be bad by any means. But ultimately, what we got here? It's basically like, that's the metering part, I gather. Sitting in a little bit of rust. I think that's a rubber hooyah. Yeah, that's a rubber tip on there. So I believe that's the these little proportioning things that just, it limits the amount of pressure for the rears, and I think because it works on the same principle, it shouldn't be an issue. Also, the only master cylinder that's available is a slightly bigger one, so there'll be actually a little more effort to stop. So can't really do anything about that, because the only one they list is a 7/8. And actually, after looking on the dealer website, I found the 7/8 piston, but it's funny how, like, even for the disc drum car, they only sell this one. So, but if I cross-reference the part number, I would get it. But this is the one that was listed for the car and has a 15/16 piston. To me, it's more stopping power, so long as your booster is working. Now, it's more stopping power if you have the power behind it, but if you have, but usually, it was 7/8 to 15/16, so that's like a 1/16 of an inch. So it's not really a huge difference, when you start going, from an inch to an inch and an eighth, or 7/8 to inch and an eighth, or 15/16 to inch and an eighth, and then you start to feel funny, because bigger is not always better. But yeah, I'm thinking about that switch. I do have to find out which wire. I did check the harness that goes to the emergency brake, and it was a white wire with a black tracer. And of course, I don't have my reading glasses. But ultimately, I'm going to see what I can do as far as, of course, I don't have the light in here either. I wanted to try to show it. I don't know if I can turn on the light on this phone. I don't know if you can see it. You can't see shit. All right. This is not one of those phones. Gotta turn on the thing first, apparently, but you see that's the white wire with the black tracer. I don't know if you can see the black tracer, but it's there. And you know, you got to figure that it's going to be a little more simpler than that, you know, and I don't think they're going to mess with that too much. I hope the the that brake switch. I'm hoping that works, and it's not an issue. Where it's something has to get pressure before it goes, you know, like it may go through the pressure switch and then back. And if that's the case, then I have to cut the wires and put a conventional brake light switch. But probably in one of these harnesses, that's the harness for the engine. I took out the IAC as well. But if you look in here, that's a white with a black tracer. Here's a white with a black tracer. So basically, I'm going to probably, even with the car off, I should be able to do this to some degree. I put the clamp on the positive, and then, you know, check this one to see if there's any ground. You know, it'll be ground on the test light, and then I hit the emergency brake, and when that grounds, or when this one grounds, and who knows if there's more. Looks like that's it. Looks like this guy or this guy, one of the two. And I would just simply put a wire in the pin here and and tape it up afterwards. Like I said, I kind of want to keep the structural integrity of the original wiring, just in case. You just never know. Because I'm not an engineer, but I'm pretty sure this will work. I'm going to take out this bracket as well, because look how much difficult this would be if you had to pull out the training and the bracket's in the way. So yeah, I got to take out that bolt there, and there's apparently one bolt in the back, probably on the the edge of the pan of the transmission. What's this guy? A hanger. Don't know why that was there. So that's where I'm at right now. I think the thing is going to work out. There's plenty of cars that have these, you know, with drum brakes in the rear. They usually have these guys. You know, like I said, each one of them goes to the rear. I don't know if they're the same number. Right? We gathered they're the same number. Yeah. So this is good if you have a like a, you know, I don't know if what the thread would be, but like the GM cars, the front wheel drive GM cars, they have the master cylinder that has 4 ports, and they have these funny looking things. They're basically proportioning valves, because basically that's what you want. You want the rear brakes to actually have a little bit of pressure. You know, they call it a metering valve or something like that, but in the dealer they call it a proportioning valve, even though it's not really, you know, but it's one of those things that, you know, one guy calls it one thing, another guy calls it another, but it actually holds a little bit of pressure in the brake system for the rear brakes, because I think by the time you're done, it takes up too much fluid, and then it doesn't feel right, blah, blah, blah. I suppose you could still put those on in a certain sense. And you know what? It's something I would think about if the thread was the same, but it kind of looks like a pipe thread. It looks awfully rusty too. It might be the same. No, these threads definitely look smaller than that thread. What do you think? Where am I? So you got this thread and that hole. That looks smaller than that one. So who knows what they did there? It could be a plumbing thread for all I know, which, you know, I'm not enthused about. But ultimately, that's what that does. It keeps some pressure on the brakes, because the disc brakes, they always take up a lot of you know fluid. You know. Now, that being said, it might be something more they actually use with drums, now that I'm thinking about it. But this is not that kind of system, and I see it more often on cars, all cars, you know. But there's different rates. Like it's funny, like the GM proportioning valve, that the style that you buy that's universal. Supposedly, the one that's for four-wheel disc brakes, you use if you have four-wheel drum brakes, because they're working on the same principles there. And they usually leave something out. Like there's guys who take something out of the conventional one to make it for four-wheel disc. So I don't exactly know how that works and what the purpose is. Like I never cared. I just said, okay, this is a disc, this is a drum. You know, I'm just going to use it. I had to think a little more for this, and then, like, you know, it'll strive you to try to, you know, find a reason why. But these look all like standard, ports. If I could have found something from these years, but the thing is, almost all of these cars all have this setup. So it's like, I bet if I could find a proportioning valve, which it's like impossible. There's no clear evidence that there's really a proportioning valve, and it's just it's in the end. I was thinking about using the GM proportioning valve, but it doesn't have the 4 leads. It's not meant for diagonal braking and whatnot. So and it's just, even though the Daytona is a little smaller car, it's still based on the same principles. Its percentage of braking, I believe it would be metered properly there, and it wouldn't be an issue. So yeah, ultimately I'd like to find something, like I could find something for maybe a Dodge Spirit or something like that, but none of those had disc brakes unless it was a rare car. Perhaps a Dodge Shadow from this year that had the performance, setup could be an option, but it's something to think about. Sometimes before you do something, you're like, maybe I should do something else. I just thought about it. I have this car halfway out the garage. I'm going to have to push it out if I'm not done with it today, like as far as getting it plumbed in and getting some kind of braking going. I forgot all about that part. But so far, so good. I haven't spent too much time on it. And I got to get these lines off. Like I said, I'm 99% sure these are all for standard lines. So I got to think about what the size is for these guys. And there's different ones for that matter, at least 2 different ones. So then I'll take it from there. I'll see what adapters are available, and hopefully I'm not set back because I can't find them. I cleaned it all up, and I've never had a steel line rust into brass threads. The 4 side ones came right off, and then when I got to this one, it snapped, and then I tried to be careful. I heated up, I smashed it to loosen the threads. This right now, this nut is spinning it, so the thread sheared off. So now I'm going to try to take the welder and try to tack weld it. I don't even know what to do anymore. And then of course I was hitting it with a hammer, and I gotten this so clean, and I nipped it. Frustrating, frustrating. And I didn't want to clamp it in the vise too much. It's just like, this is not what I wanted to do. This was supposed to be very, very easy to do. I've never seen that happen, but I guess I don't even know how, like penetrating oil was going to do anything prior to that. It just doesn't go in the threads unless you get it a little bit loose. Get it a little bit loose, it helps. But I suppose it could have helped a little bit, but never thought of this. In hindsight, I would do it, but never had a problem taking out brake lines, because you just cut the brake line and spin it out with an impact, But which is what I was doing, and then that snapped off, and I was like, oh boy, problems. So now I put it on the hand ratchet, and I hammered it and hammered it and hammered it, and it still didn't come loose. And I don't want to heat it too much because all this shit, there's plastic and rubber parts inside here. So wonderful. I don't know if it's still glowing red, but I'm going crazy now with this thing. That one I gave up on. I went to the one that looks supposedly hard. Oh, my fucking leg is on fire. That's wonderful. Another hole in my fucking pants. Oh, I don't believe this. I've never seen steel get caught into brass this bad. It's unreal. Like, this nut was on, but it was holding by the tube, and it was spinning on the tube. So I kept trying to weld underneath. It's not working. So I went to the other one that first snapped off, and that I got a better thing on. I just don't know if it's going to work. But it should. I mean, the whole fucking thing was glowing red. Snapped it off. I don't think that was bad. I did use the impact because I just thought it would be better, but at this point, I don't know what to think. Now I got to try to, I don't know if I should weld it to the washer first. I don't see why. This is crazy. I mean, fucking crazy. Never had to do this. Basically what I did before. Of course, my light is on, but that was glowing red there just a second ago. See what happens. I think I'm going to let it completely cool down or something. I've never seen and there's no rust in the threads. It's just had to be at the very tippy top. Unreal. And this one broke off, so I got to do it again. I'm gonna clean it up better. I guess I'm not making a good connection. Times already. I'm running out of bolts, and now I actually threaded that with a metric thread. Screwed this in, and then try to weld on top of it. I had the nut up on the top of the head there, upside down. I welded it so the nut stayed off. And after I welded that, then I welded the nut to the bolt. I thought I was getting it. I didn't even think I had that many threads in this. This mother effer won't come out. And I hate to drill it. You know, the reason why I got bigger here was because I put an easy out in there, and the easy out was pulling the metal tube. This is crazy. I don't believe this. I've never seen anything like this in my life. I've never seen brass hold on to this shit so long. I'm still trying to figure this out. Beyond me. Beyond. I don't know what else to think. I think I have to take it to a TIG welder because I don't know what else is going to fucking hold that. That is crazy. I got the other one somehow. Don't know what the deal is. I think I heard a crack. I'm just like flabbergasted how long this took. This took hours. Hours. I got a fucking half-inch nut on there. Oh my God. I don't believe this shit. But I got it. I don't even know if this thing's going to work anymore. I've heated this thing up so many times. Oh, it's bad. You have no idea how much trouble I had putting this thing in. It almost wouldn't fit. I had to point this part over here. This was fucked up by somebody else. Anyway, this wiring harness was completely in the way. This heavy thing over here, I can kind of tuck it back in afterwards. But I test fitted the master. It does not going to hit this because this is really like that. I put the old seal behind it. I had to cut it a little bit and modify it. There's a piece of rubber inside the car. I had to cut that too because this, the power booster comes straight out. Where this one here, it comes out. You can see it's not in the center of all this going on. So that's why this one has this rod and it goes down further. So hopefully that's going to all be the same as far as my end is concerned inside. Probably not even my biggest fear. I bought like $150 worth of adapters and different lines and whatnot because it goes from this 12. I found out afterwards, after be a pain, but you know it's coming up so much further, and to sit there and try to flare this, you know, cut it shorter and flare because it has this stupid like the protective spring here, like this one has. It's kind of silly. Like this is This is the one that either goes to the back left or back right, but you know, my luck, you know, it's the one that's harder. Like I may consider keeping one, but it still has to go back down there. There's a hole right there where my finger is, and that's where it looks like it should mount. And if I were to mount it somewhere else, I'm not sure where I would mount it. I wouldn't be a fan of, you know, putting the proportioning valve higher than the master cylinder. That would be definitely defeating the purpose. So this was definitely a pain in the neck because I was, like I said, I was getting all these adapters, and the more I look at it, I can't believe how big this booster is. I mean, it's huge, and there's enough room for it, but it's tough without the original equipment bent just in the right place. Like I said, this line here is right there. It's going right to the front wheel. So the more I think about it, I'm like, you know, this one is relatively easy to get, you know, to do. The back ones not so much, but the back ones are here and they come up so high, and I hate to go up and around. I hate to bend them too much. I'd rather keep it, but the more I think about it, I was talking about keeping the integrity of the car, but in reality, you can get these adapters without a problem, because all it is, if it's regular line, if you were to replace one of these lines, let's say, all you would need is one of these guys right here. This is the 12 millimeter one. You know what I'm saying? Like, this was the only thing they would have to screw into that if you were to ever put it back. So it's like it's not even a big deal. I'm like buying all these expensive adapters and shit like that, and I'm like, you know what? This kind of sucks. You know. The only other snafu I have is I got to work on another car next couple of days, but the little rubber huyas here are gone. Sure as hell hope there ain't something else in there, but hopefully there's no pin. I've seen pins on these things, but this thing got melted basically. So the rubber part, I don't believe it should leak just because that's exposed. It's just there to protect it for the most part. I'm so upset that this gave me so much headache, and I didn't have to run a chase through this. It's funny, I had to run a chase through this one when the two top ones were the real culprits, you know. So I'm not exactly sure. So I'm probably going to start the car and put the what do you call it? Put the emergency brake on, back it up out of the garage, so I can close it. But this is definitely going to take a little more thinking and a little more problem solving. Like I said, it's looking like it's just easier to change the lines because you don't want to try to reflare old lines, and ultimately these things are, I can buy a pre-made line, go right to the to the rubber hose, right to the proportioning valve. As far as the two back ones are concerned, those would be a little more difficult. I would love to save them. I would have to, kind of bend them and move them. Not quite sure right now. Really, they should have like made an adapter, like the same lines would fit on another car that had no ABS. But I guess that would have been more money. Just it's literally the adapters would have costed money. Like a union that joined the two lines together somehow. Because all you need is standard lines. But then again, this is not the original proportioning valve. I've yet to see a proportioning valve for one of the. I've yet to see one of these cars without an ABS. So that's another thing. Pretty frustrating. I thought this was going to be a lot simpler. So it's dark, but I'm going to try to just at least bolt in the power booster, since I feel like I've accomplished nothing other than taking it apart. And I'll take it from there, I guess. I'll be back at this in a few days. So I'm in West Hazelton, PA, at Harry's You Pull It. And I got to some Dodges. So I can get some parts. And carried my tools in. Little bag of them. Hopefully I have enough. And hopefully I find what I'm looking for. So this sign is over here on this truck. And although they have domestic, obviously, in the SUV section, like this is a whole new wing. Like this is all the parallel lines, and then it turns to the left and to the right, and they're down there for the domestic stuff. Crazy. It's like these are all the ones that are going to the scrapper that I guess they didn't sell. Countless rim and metal, and oh my god, this place is bigger than ever. They literally opened up a whole wing here. This doesn't ring a bell to me. This looks like it's on a whole different plateau. It definitely veered off because it was always a grid, and I guess this is a grid that's just whatever to the side of the first grid. So see Chevy and Ford. It's a bit involved. Of course, my favorite position here, arched my back on the stupid thing. I didn't bring a shorty 15 socket with me. I may have one in the car, but I kind of doubt it. I don't have a lot of tools in the car. I should have verified all this. But I did get it loose with it, but then I was running out of room for the ratchet as the bolt got unloosened, but it's still tight all the way out. Probably double check that it's not turning on the other side. I thought it was. Hang on. Oh shit, something is tightening. Huh. I gotta. Oh, it's like a hex over there. That's interesting. Yeah, very limited with tools. Let's see. Very limited with gloves too. Hopefully this guy holds. I thought I was running out of room, but apparently it's smaller. I can see them using. Well, let's see if 10 millimeter fits. I somehow see them using like 7/16 or something like this. Yeah, and of course 10 millimeter doesn't fit. Oh, look at this. I have a line wrench. There's 11 millimeter on it. I bet you that's it. It has to be actually. It's 12. Unless I only think it's a hex. Maybe it's just like an open end fits in there. I might just have 2 flat spots. I think I have a 10 here. Yeah, this is longer leverage. I might need 2 hands for this. In fact, I'm pretty sure I will. But let's just see if it's actually 10. Yes, it is. So now, what do I do here? It's 10, but it's not a 10 socket. It's just a 10 to hold it. Unless I'm crazy. Nope. All right, I gotta put the phone down. Finally back to the car. And this is the stuff I got. Got the brake pedal. I got this gasket for the power brake booster. I got the wire. I got another proportion valve. And you see inside here, it's a little piece of rubber. So I'm going to try to change these caps and put them on the other one if possible. And I got these lines here because they're perfectly bent. So I'll either copy them. These are nice because they have big ends, but they're only 7/16. No, it's not that big. And in the end, this thing looks just as bad as the other one where it looks like it's going to snap off like the other one did. So I don't even know what to expect there. Not that I would need to, but if I'm going to get it off, it may snap. So at least I have the contour to bend new ones. So I have an idea instead of kind of guessing. And I found a working, I just looking at it now, I think mine is gray. So, oh well. Unless they're all black. Maybe they're all black. Don't know. But this is for my Ford Taurus. You know, the spring broke. So what happens is sometimes it's staying open a little bit. So, and then another friend called me and ends up being there's a classic car thing. I didn't take a video of it, but I was live on TikTok. And he said his 70 Chevelle has a broken, this piece here broke off. So this thing here is kind of a fucked up spring, which could be changed over, and somebody had this bent over. So I bent it back a little bit, so it looks like it could be pressed in place and repinched or something. This spring looks like it could be changed. So that's pretty amazing that I actually found one, because there's an old car section now that was not there before. They used to be trying to spread out, and now they put them all together. And they're all together. There's not a ton, but there's like 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. I was pretty impressed with that. Oh, talk about a rough day. So, what time is it now? 2:30. Oh my God, I was here like at 11 o'clock. I've been here that long. That's how long it takes. I tell you, it's crazy how much walking you'll do in these places. And now I bought this Sawzall. Thank God I didn't need it, because now it says the Sawzalls are not allowed anymore. So somebody's probably set something else on fire. So, oh well, things happen. I wonder if they'll let a grinder come in next time. Anyway, hopefully I don't have to come here for a while. I like buying my parts online from somebody who actually buys them. Who takes them off themselves and then sells them for a profit. I didn't need to pay $9 for that brake pedal. I could have paid more, but people didn't want to take them off, so I came here. All right, next step, getting home. So even though this car did not have four-wheel disc, this is not for four-wheel disc. It's basically the same thing with different guts in it. When I heated up this, because it looks like these are going to snap right off too, but I got it with the tubes just so I can match them. Maybe I'll get them off. These came out just fine, but this looks like the same thing is going to happen. It looks like it's going to snap off. I mean, yeah, it's amazing how they rust right there as it's on the top. Like all these others look fine. But right here, that's a rubber hoo-yah. And I might be able to take these caps off and put them on the other one. Like the caps won't mean anything, but it may also be part of the valve. It may not have any difference. Like something else could be in there, a spring or whatever the hell it is. So I bought it anyway, but this is the brake pedal. I had to get it off a Dodge Shadow, and I had to go to Hazleton because I realized afterwards I made a mistake on where I was looking, and I had a much better selection here. Also, there was 0 Dodge Dynasties here, 0. So I'm relying on that Mopar website that says that the Dodge Shadow and the um, uh, Dodge Dynasty had the same brake pedal. So that's definitely something. What else? Yeah, I mean that's basically it. There was no Dodge Dynasty, and I totally was looking up for a master cylinder because I wanted to see what cars were where, and there's a bunch of cars that said Hazleton, 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 and then I saw a few that said Allentown, but largely there was not really the car I needed. It just like I just did a general thing with Dodge, and when I looked at the master cylinder, it gave a cross reference of Chrysler Dynasty. But when you're looking up for car parts, you can not find anything that says Dynasty. There's no Chrysler Dynasty. There's no Dodge Dynasty in the pull-down menu when you look at the website. And there was none here. So I don't know if when you get one, they put it up and it's not there when they don't have any or what. But, I mean, if there wasn't another car that had the same brake pedal, I wouldn't know what the hell to do. But it's a lot of fun taking it out, too. But it's done. It's like 2:30. Oh, now to drive back home. So I got the pin out without taking out the steering column like I did in the junkyard. But there's that spring, or if you remember, I got punched in the snout with the brake pedal because it was under spring tension. And it's something they obviously do with the ABS. So it's like in that little hole there, and it really doesn't want to come out. This phone is crappy for videos. Damn it. Okay, that should be a little easier. All right, I think I should be able to see that. Where am I? Oh my god, the shadows that are just being created. You can't get a light in what you need to see. And it's just not in focus, too. Unless it's my eyes that are not. I don't have my reading glasses on. Anyway, where the hell is it? My god! Okay, yeah, there's the hole. You can see that part of the spring, and then it goes up. Right there. I just can't get a. Is that better? There we go. That's a lot better. Anywho, and it's not really focusing where I want it to focus. Anyhow, it's in there. It's stuck. I'm trying to figure this out. Okay, so the spring came right out when I slid it off of this. When I slid it off of this, this spring is wedged on the other side of this. And of course, this is up in there, so there's tension. So once I slid it up like this, I think it was this one actually. That's the one that was in there because it was longer. Yeah, I think once I. Yeah. Why am I thinking no? Am I just flipped around? Interesting. That was with the just seems very odd. Brake pedal bushing. Yeah, it's got to be that one, because that one, yeah. So that was some tension on it. So once I slid it, then it was able to go like this, and then just like everything fell out, including the spring. So yeah, these guys go in here. And oh, this is, oh Jesus, I hope I have the spot where it hits the thing. So this is like, I guess that's technically a rivet, and that's bolted in. Why would one be a bolt in? It's amazing how these things are different. Oh, oh my God, everything hurts. Actually after yesterday, I went to the junkyard yesterday to get this. Okay, yeah, it has its own thing, and then this particular one is welded. But as you can see, the starting point and the ending point are two different. Well, the starting point and the ending point are the same. It's the arch of where this is connected. Like you can tell, it's like off big time, because this is where the thing goes, and this is where it needs to go. That's like 3 inches, you know, or at least 2 inches off, and that's how about how much it was off, you know. But it's crazy how they make this stuff like this. And it's funny is that I just realized this is a chrome pedal. I guess it's kind of worn here. Probably save it, try to take it off. Oh, it has, oh, is it no different than a regular one? And you just, apparently, well, apparently you just bend this over and try to smash it on this. No, this one has these things. This was replaced, I think, at one time, because they have these little notches in here, where this one had a whole, you know, dugout thing. So it would be interesting to try to get that out and wedged in there somehow. Yeah, let's see what happens. So I have a habit of doing things because I really want to do them right, and it just like it gets out of hand. So I take off the original one that has these notches in there, and if you look, this one was a dealer one. It was replaced, but it was a dealer, and they had the same pictures on Rock Auto where they show a Mopar one and had the same part number on the inside. I just didn't think it was a big deal to try to film it, so I didn't go through that. So the spacing is correct, but this is offset and this is offset. Why? And it goes right over the little tit. I can't, I mean, it looks okay in the end, but my other problem is I put it back on the original. Oh, this is the rusty one from the junkyard where it's rusty right there. I got to take it off again anyway, so, oh, hello. Okay, I took it off, so just to let you know, Chrysler Pentagram, that's the number. It looks too clean to be original, but you never know. But if you look up the new one has a sticker in it that says made in China. And I bet you it's the same thing as a Dorman one, you know. And the open part is supposed to be on the bottom where it was on the top. So it made me feel like it was replaced, because this one here was definitely never replaced. And the open part, which is now cracked, oh no, cracked on the opposite side, but this open part was on the bottom. So that's that. But it seems to be slightly different, unless they're all like this and you don't even realize it. And the, oh, there goes my glass and my lens. I try to look up this original part number here, and it comes up nowhere. Even on the original website, it gives the same one. Hang on a second. Oh, you know what? I might have picked out another 4294. See, I was looking at this over here, and unless that's the metal one. 4294779. A ruler and I go around it, and there's a lot of bends in here. A lot of bends in this. This is the long line that goes from the passenger side front wheel to where the ABS unit was. The new one is going to come somewhere around here. So I'm measuring, I'm going around, and I'm getting over 5 feet, but then I'm like, I'm not going this far. But I take a 5 feet line, and I did a pretty damn good job. And when all was said and done, that's how far I got. It needs to kind of go here and then over this way, then extend another foot. So I probably made a mistake, and in my calculations, but it's because it's very rough doing this, but something you want to watch out for after you've bent it up. So, oh well. Time to take this proportioning valve apart. Since I got another one from the junkyard, I'm convinced that these are not very different. I don't think Chrysler went out of their way to try to change it. Everything looks the same on it. You can see I got some shit torched on here because these are spotless clean on both sides, you know. These seals also got stuck inside there and they were kind of dry and they look like they're a little beaten up. I wouldn't even know where to get these, but I'm going to use the ones that are in here. I don't think there's any issue. Oh, look at that. Maybe there is a difference. Look how much smaller these are. Well, that sucks. Am I crazy? I knew there had to be more than one difference, and it's very possible this is the same. The stud here is the same. But all these ends, you see these ends, see the rubber thing right there? I basically melted it on these. You know, it's probably not a huge deal, but, you know, just in case, this could, you know, when it comes out, it may just, you know, let out some fluid too. You can put a dab of silicone on the outside, but the thing on my attention is the valve here that switches, you know. And basically, I've done every measurement with this, and they're basically both exactly the same. I've measured now. Some of the lands look bigger than others, and it's deceiving. But these two are the same. These two are the same. These two are the same. Where the seal, where this slides up here, there's a little groove here for some reason. That kind of looks like where the seal is supposed to go, but it doesn't. Apparently, it goes on the outside because they were out on the outside of both of them. But you see, this one here has a much bigger seal, and it's loose on it. And I'm just like, man, that doesn't look right. This one fits so nicely. I had a hard time getting it out, but it did get overheated and whatnot. But something's weird. The only thing that I noticed is definitely a huge difference is the springs. Okay, these are the ones that were in the one that I heated up. It's like 1,046 versus 960 something, you know, or 950 something, you know, 940. It was a good tenth of an inch off or so, or almost a tenth of an inch. So that I can understand. Disc to drum brake. This definitely came out of a drum brake car, the one I got from the junkyard. But the O-ring, I mean, everything on this thing looks the same, but the O-rings look different. Now, this is just news to me, though. Now that I took a harder look at this, I kind of didn't want to take it off. I'm like, wow, these are smaller. So I'm curious where they actually seat. But you know what? They're tight in here. This is what I don't understand. I put it in the right side. Yeah. It fits nicely. Am I just crazy? Is it? Because these things were like practically stuck in there. You know. It's hard with one hand. Like, this is not even fitting on the thing very properly. It's like loose on here. Maybe that's why they didn't come out together. But this is they were in the back of that right there, hanging out. You can see those little marks there. So this is kind of the right size. When I put this in, it actually seals on this front part. So, and if I go farther in, I expect it to not seal. It feels like it's sealing because I gather. No, I don't know which ones were which. Oh, that one had the seal on it. Makes great videos. But like, you would think that would just kind of fall out or get to the front here. It wouldn't be sitting in the back. But I'm just wondering if they're using a different principle as far as there's other lands inside this thing that will seal just fine instead of the end seal, you know, but maybe it has something to do with the disc brakes and the way the spring holds it. Now, that being said, these springs, I gather, went on there. So the spring keeps it at a certain, you know, in a certain place. Now, if I look in this guy, because I was trying to, you know, put them in different places, and it seemed like it was able to do that. See, this one seals there, and if you go all the way to the back, well, this is the one it came out of, so this is a bad idea. What I don't understand is the bodies look, you know, pretty much the same. That don't look like it's going to fit. So, oh, wait a minute. That would be interesting if these things here, and I think I see it, I can't swap these. These look like bigger threads. Oh no, it fits in there. What the heck is going on here? Hang on. Those threads are the same. But when I had tried to put... You think these grew exponentially? Definitely looks compromised. They didn't seem to come out with, you know, a problem. Like it doesn't want to roll, you know, where I need it to go. Let me put a drop of lubricant. It's like it doesn't belong in here, but it was in there. Yeah, see, and then it flips over. It does not seem like it wants to go in that deep pocket. I think I just overheated the shit out of it. Because the more I look at it, like I said, they were stuck in there. This thing doesn't fit on this. This is crazy. So, this is obviously compromised for sure. But I think I'm going to end up using this one and just put the springs in. Because everything is exactly the same. And I don't like the fact that, I mean, this very well could have blown up like this blown up. And that's why I'm having this, you know, weird look to it. You know, like this one blew up, but this one didn't. Because both of these, they look a little bit different. But you see how that one's tight on the shaft. And that's what it's supposed to be. This is all loose and it's blown up. And it was very hard getting out as well. So it's definitely been compromised. And shit, I mean, well, to make your car, you know, for four-wheel disc, all you had to do is get these springs. This spring, I'm pretty sure, didn't. If anything, it would have shrunk if it was really that overheated. but they're supposed to take more pressure. But it's the height is different, and the like I mean, they're tight, but they're about it's about the same, and just that they're longer. I mean, to be honest, I would even take the chance of shimming it in the future because I do not see an issue here. I do not see a difference in either one of these things. I really don't, other than the spring, and the spring is definitely different. It looks like it's a thicker spring as well. You know, maybe I'm wrong. Nah, they're about the same. An extra coil can do a lot. I'm not an engineer, but it's like you always wonder what the hell is the difference. Now on the GM ones, everybody has the answer for them. They basically take out something out of it. I've read about it, but I just buy the right one. When it comes to that type of one. These are actually out more. These are in more. Remember, this is the one that would have been overheated. This one was not. I think that's really the only difference. I really can't see anything different here. There's no way this totally got. Ooh, I already hit the floor, I think. My God. The shit that bounces away on me. Oh, yeah, next time, I'm definitely going to take it apart because it's really no big deal. It's one valve. I mean, I do this shit in transmissions practically all the time, when I mess with it. I just didn't mess with it, didn't want to fuck with it, and now I'm sorry I did not because I had to buy another one. Granted, this was $17 at the junkyard, but, you know, I'm kind of enticed. It's really not that bad. So I'm going to put this back together and figure out these lines and whatnot. All right, I got caught up in doing the work, but I put together the proportioning valve. I put this line in, I put the other line in, and it still wasn't freaking long enough. So I put this 8-inch piece of line with a union, and it actually made it easier because trying to thread that back here would have been pretty difficult. I haven't pulled out there's one more. Yeah, this line here I haven't pulled out yet, but I pulled out the shorter line. They both follow the same path. They go to the rear brake hose, and then the second one goes whoosh whoosh. Man, is it long? Because this is the short. This is the short long one. Oh my God! I'm like, this poor girl is gonna spend a lot of money on these lines, and that's why I think I have some rolled line, and I think I'm gonna have to use it. But I just don't want to start using it, and I don't have enough for both. So I may just try to use the lines that I got here with this, but also the other stuff is not as good a quality. I've used it and it gets corrosion because it's mostly copper with a very light coating on it. So uh, what do you want? Chinese stuff, but just for shit to giggles, somewhere around there. I mean, you're talking about 8 feet at least. Oh, 9 feet? I want to say, where's the 8 foot? I saw 7, 8 foot right here. Go in. I mean, and I think they didn't have the 30 because I bought, oh, but I have the 72. I used the 72 on the other one. So I have a 40 and a 51, and then I have one more 60, I believe, right here. Oh, man. That's a lot of shit. And it broke off here. This was pretty rusty over here, and it fucking just snapped off. And that's where that other brake hose is. So that's the thing. You get these big long lines, and then you got to fix it if you were to do that. Otherwise they weren't in terrible shape, but with these adapters, I didn't want to sit there and cut and bend and whatnot, and then have to go through that, because I'm definitely changing those hoses because they have not been done. It's 30 years old. The brakes got to get, things got to get done right with the brakes. But I'm really concerned about cost now. This is ridiculous. But at least the front ones, I have these lines because they're better quality. I don't want to put steel. It's too many bends to duplicate this. So I have a feeling when I use the other stuff, it's a little cheaper, and take it from there. All right, believe it or not, I got one of the back the lines that go to the back end. This is the side. See, I have an adapter here, with the 8-inch piece. Because it was such a small piece, I wasn't going to bend it, and I had the 8-inch already. This long one here, I decided to take out the fitting that I had, the adapter fitting, because I had a 7/16 nut. So I said, I'm flaring it anyway, so that works. And by the way, when I flare, I love using the on-the-car flarer, okay? The other shit with the fucking handle thing, this thing fucking works. The only thing you gotta watch out for is, it's not lined up right or something, and you strip this, because I have another one that I stripped. It may just strip over time too. It's not really expensive. They give you this guy to clean out the center, and then I use a little file on the outside. Right here, a little file with that. And what I use for regular flare, I use a bubble flare connector. And I could probably make a video. I'll show you how I do that. But basically, the bubble flare, it doesn't, like the first, when you use the regular one, it kind of flares it out, and sometimes because it doesn't bring it back to the center too much. When you do the final flare, it sometimes pushes it away, it breaks or whatever. This bubble flare is a one-step thing, and if you look at a bubble flare, it's like, wow, that looks just like a regular flare if you just were able to push it in the middle. So I broke my regular flare, and I ended up using it, and it was the best thing I ever did, because it makes awesome flares and nice, true, and straight and round. Just to give you an idea, that proportioning valve, okay, I went and I took off the lines, and I realized that somebody had changed the back lines, and they flared it themselves. They didn't buy regular things. So these are the two bottom lines. You can tell this was the good line that they bought. Look how they flared it. Hang on a second. I gotta put my glasses on too. Come on. Isn't that a wonderful flare? I think this one's worse. Look at that. So what's the fucking point? And then, you're in a rush. You're trying to do it in the car or whatever. That one, they obviously changed the line. They should have flared it before they put it on. But again, when you use that other shitty flare system with the thing that scissors open, you can use the wing nuts. You're gonna tighten them up so tight. This, I think you can only do quarter and. No, what am I talking about? I bought a kit like this, and I had all the other things. So that's what I do. I destroy everything, or I lose fucking parts. But I believe, yeah, now that I think about it, yeah, you could put any size in there. Just, you have all different ones of these, separate ones, and then that screws on. It's really solid, other than, pushing it out if you don't have this tight enough with the Allen key. It come out great. So, and it's like, it came out so good. It's like, why don't I flare more often? I could save some money. But it's another thing to think about. You're not an engineer, and it's just like, when you have the factory make those kind of flares, and you don't want to have problems, you just do it that way. At least I did the fronts with the pre-made ones, and if I have any leaks, it's going to come from this spot, the spot at the back wheel where it goes into that rubber hose, or it's going to be on that side. So it's going to be very obvious to see. Of course, if you have a leak here with the two lines, you don't know which line until you really get into it. But it's amazing how all this fits. And these were the lines that came off the other thing, and because it was a Dodge Shadow, it's really not lining up the way I want it to. I played with it, I bent it around, and I was, obviously when I have the master ready to go, it may be easier, but I'm not sure I'm going to use these. They aren't in terrible shape, but I did have to heat the hell out of them to get them to spin on the proportioning valve side. I didn't heat it up on the proportioning valve. Actually, the nut came off this time. I just had to spin the whole thing around, and then I was able to get it out. What happened to the other proportioning valve was just abhorrent all the way around. It just came from Canada. It was probably in some serious rusty conditions or something. Who knows? All right, and it's getting late, and I really want to return parts. It's 8 o'clock, and I'm not even sure if Advance Auto is open, but I think AutoZone is, so I got all these metric adapters and everything. Mostly I bought from AutoZone. I got to return them, get some of that money back in the bank, and I guess I can return all these guys too, because in the end, the one I bent, I'm probably just going to hang. I never do this to an auto parts store, I can sit here and yank it all day long to try to make it straight, but I already removed the label on it and whatnot, so it's like, I'm not going to do that to them. Somebody else has got to use this, and I know there's nothing wrong with this. And you know what? There's a little piece of line, because basically the long line that goes to the rubber hose, there's a rubber hose and a small piece of line that goes to another rubber hose that goes to the caliper. I might use it for that, and then I'll cut it up and I'll put the ends on. I can make 2 lines out of it because it has a lot of bends in it anyway. Maybe I'll make use of it that way. I can use, this is from the first thing I had, so I got basically a whole roll over there, so I should be in pretty good shape. Yeah, I could have probably done the whole car in that. I don't particularly like it. As you can tell, it's like all copper. I bought it from eBay. It was pretty cheap. It's working, but the coating that they put on here is very, very slim, if anything. It's not like the Nick Cop brand. And I've seen cars that I've done this, and within 6 months, there's green shit all over it. So I'm probably going to spray it. I could have painted it. I could still technically paint it, at least at the spots where it connects. I can spray some clear coat on it. Not sure if it'll stick, but there's also this other spray by PB Blaster that coats everything and prevents for rusting and corrosion and whatnot. I want to get it all in first before I start playing with it. Just mainly where it goes into the hose would be the best thing, but still, I know for a fact as being under the car, these they get green, of all things, and not on the whole thing, not on the long lengths, but like you could tell like where it gets bent, like whatever microscopic, coating they have on it, it pretty much disappears, just by bending it one time. So I had a whole bunch of bends in that other thing, so it is what it is, but it's not going to rust. It's not going to rust through. Yeah, I mean, it's not even going to corrode through no matter how much green I think, it usually just forms a coating. So, and the car is rather so I can tell that's why there's some rust going on the main help, so I do want to protect it with something really heavy spray or black paint, or both, spray with black paint, let it dry, and spray with something. And then, yeah, one day. So I'm making the small lines that go from the second, the middle hose with this cheaper line. And I said I was going to make a video. I didn't really take the whole thing, but I might just do another one too, just to show you. But this is after I just hit it with the bubble flare, okay? And I mean, it doesn't quite look like a commercialized bubble flare, but wait until you see the regular flare that it makes after using that first and then using this. Take your 7/8 to hold that. And you turn the end here with 9/16. And, you know, you don't sit there and, you know, wing it down to all hell. You just basically bottom it out until you stop feeling resistance. Ugh. Much easier than using that crappy, you know, other thing. Hang on. Come on, focus. Maybe it's focused in my. I got to use my reading glasses through the thing. That looks pretty fucking awesome to me. All right, so I put this in. It ended up being a little bit on the long side, even though it's basically pretty much the way it was. This guy, I think, was straight across. I don't know how to put him at an angle. Oh my god, you can't see because it's there. All right, but I think it was coming more like this, you know. But it's fine. Ain't going nowhere. And it's new. So I'm backing out of the driveway. Of course, these lights are still on. Haven't investigated it, but I actually have a pedal now. I don't know if I said in that last video. I reused the metal master cylinder lines. I didn't have any more, you know, nuts to make new ones, and I was like, so I reused the old ones. If I'm gonna reuse the old ones, I'll just reuse the old lines. They were still intact, but I have a pedal now. Four-wheel disc is always, you know, despite, you know, the ABS system kept the brake pedal high, and it always had an extra amount of pressure, and that's what the springs in the washing valve do. You know, they actually put a little extra pressure on the rear brakes, so you have more pedal available to you. And I gravity bled this for the most part. Now the car stalled because I don't have the air cleaner on. let's see what happens. Put the blinkers on. Oh, it's right here. Oh, that's wonderful. I guess it was slightly. Oh, I forgot to tighten that too. You know what? I forgot. I should have taken a wrench with me. Oh, wonderful. Anyway, you get in the midst of everything, and you kind of forget certain things. But I didn't apparently tighten the line. I didn't tighten the line in the back there by the caliper, and now I didn't tighten the line over here by the center brake hose. It's funny because it was holding there, and I guess I just did that panic stop before. The next thing you know, I'm like, oh, I don't have a brake light to tell me what's going on. It's just always on. Let's hope I can stop. I don't. Oh, and now it's stalled. Oh, nice to challenge me. Go around me. Hope the girl in the house doesn't block the driveway, because that happens on a somewhat regular basis. Stops fairly well, all things considered. So it's got to help closing that line up. Yeah, the pedal goes down a little more than I would like. And I really whomped on it. I locked the front right brake, which is connected to the left rear. So, interesting. Alrighty. Well, I'm going to go into the garage and take care of all the little things and maybe take it for another ride if she doesn't come home and block me. Pretty hilarious that it leaked. I could swear I tightened it, but I can't swear. Alrighty. Let's take a look. Okay. Backing out. I unplugged the computer harness from the ABS computer under the battery, and the anti-lock brake light is still on, but the brake light went out. But when I hit the emergency brake comes on again. So that's a good thing, because now I'm going to energize that wire or whatever. I'm going to hit the brake, and then I'm going to find which wire it is and wire that sensor up to it. So that'll be pretty easy. It's just that I'll probably have to, I don't know if I can reach in and grab that bulb, but oh yeah. Still, I always want it to be higher, but it's hard with four-wheel disc brakes. Like I said, deliberately with this ABS system, it makes it a very high feel. But obviously you don't stop, it's another thing. But if I panic stop before and I got this stops, Like I said, there's more cushiness to it. And you know what? I guess you can get it to stop better if you put a bigger piston in. And this is a little bit bigger piston. And supposedly, when I looked on the website, it's only a 7/8 piston. And this is a 15/16 piston. It's very small, but like even everything on Rock Auto basically said all the cars take 15/16, and they're all supposed to be 7/8. So it might have been a running change that Dodge had. But I'm sure that if I bleed it with somebody, I'll get a little tiny bit more air out, particularly the master cylinder. So, like I said, I never cracked the master cylinder or anything. Oh yeah, it stops. Always feel I can improve. And also, don't forget, these are also, the pads are very old on this car. They're old looking. So I have a feeling that, they probably never quite broken in right. They might actually work a little better when these brakes heat up, over time. But, I could have done the brakes, but it's like, one thing at a time, and it's kind of a big expense, all of this. But I'm trying to look in the rearview mirror at the same time, and yeah, this car is stopping, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, front brakes locked up, tires smoked. That's what you want, though, for the proportioning valve, is that you want to put all the weight on the front. That's what I think it's supposed to do. It's supposed to, like, because of that extra spring pressure, I think it doesn't make it go as equally. Or maybe it makes it more equally, for all I know. But it definitely looks like the weight is in the front. It's doing what it's supposed to do. To my knowledge, I always thought that the rear brakes were supposed to be used more during normal stops, and then, when you panic stop, then you use the fronts more. Rotors are a little warped too. I mean, all that makes it feel a little different. And I was telling her that it's very possible that some things weren't even like feeling like they were working, with the regular brakes. That's why I made sure the pins were all greased. But even if you grease them, sometimes they still kind of hang up a little bit. It's hard to say sometimes. But now, the major expense is done. There's plenty of pads left. I just say, wear out the pads the way they are and buy 4 new rotors and 4 new brakes when the time comes. Even if one set of brakes goes bad, then you change all 4. But it's literally got every line is brand new now, and except for the master cylinder lines, which I just don't think you're gonna have a problem with that. Yeah, it's definitely stopping. I can't believe the analog brake light is on. I wonder if there might be a fuse inside the car. I didn't check the fuses inside the car, but I'm kind of flabbergasted. But hopefully it's not like related to another fuse, like whatever, like cigarette lighter. You don't want to lose your cigarette lighter over that, so I'll just pull out the bulb if that ends up being the case. But I'm glad the regular light went out, because now I can find it. In fact, I could probably still do that and make another video with that before the day is up, because that sun is setting. What time is it now? It's 5:46. So we got about 15 minutes to maybe 25 minutes of daylight left, usable daylight. It's running good now. It's got to be with the air bonnet being disconnected, not hooked up. Like I said, air passes through the computer there. It's not the best thing for it, but I was still kind of technically, diagnosing. Got to run the wire for the brake light and whatnot. So, aside of giving myself a big vacuum leak, a big brake leak again, I can't really test the switch, but I'm pretty sure it works. It seems fine. And it came off of a car. The car in the junkyard, it was actually running. Yeah, these brakes feel fucking good. I think the more you use the brakes, the more they feel better too. Like I said, the car's been with me for damn near a month, but I just don't think these brakes ever really stopped right. So now when you have consistent brake pressure, it helps them, work the way they should. Very happy so far, but I'm going to check that light now. So for the brake light, you get a hunch here. Okay, so that's the wire. And this, it's white wire with a gray, black. This is what we're going to do. And you put the test light on positive. You check it. Of course, my clamp is no good, and I can't find my good test light because I'm a slob. Okay, so now, because these are the ABS wires, and these are where the sensor was and whatnot. So right here, that's a white wire with a black thing. So it's the end one right here. It's one of the wider ones, and I'm gonna double check. Test light works. Okay, so let's see if I get it on the first try. So we got that pin right there, and technically, even if the car isn't on, I just have to hit the emergency brake, and that test light should light up. Let's see. Can you see the test light? Yeah. So I can't fucking reach while I'm doing this. Come on, where's the pedal? God damn it. Oh yeah, this is another issue. It doesn't hold. Ah. Yeah, that's a problem. Oh wait, now it held finally. Okay, that was weird. Did it hold? It feels like it did. Oh yeah. Okay. So, to be certain, oh, there's another black and white wire. Is that black and white? Sorry, I'm not holding the camera nicely. Let me lean it right here. So ultimately, let me double check that I have a good connection. I have a good connection. Nope. This would suck, but it has to. Okay, there we go. Okay. So what color is that one? That's just black though. That's just the ground. Okay. All right. It's gray with a black tracer. Okay. So I'm going to put it in this guy. It's on because the pedal is still on. Now I'll hang on a second. I'm a very bad cinematographer. And I got brake fluid on my hand because all this shit, I spilled it and went everywhere. So the second wire. Okay. So that second wire in this thing, it's basically, I could have misinterpreted it. It looks kind of whitish too, but it looks a little more gray out here. But it's because it's on the engine compartment. It gets dirty. So now, I'm trying to. But you like to get conclusive as evidence. I don't know if that happened because I couldn't see it, but it's out. Okay. So now I'm pushing it all I can. It's not, nothing nefarious happened during that time. So it's definitely the second wire in this black connector here. So that's how you check for which wire is the brake light wire. So I am super happy about that. And this is just about done. Just got to fix that wire. Do I do it today? I feel like going home, but it's so close. Leave it to me to do that. I just got a mess. I got to clean up the garage. I bought a bunch of stuff from Harbor Freight. I'm going to try to organize my toolbox a little bit with some racks for the open ends and whatnot, and sockets. I got little socket holders, and I'm so not me, but I'm going to try. Spent $150 on a bunch of different stuff. I got rags, I got gloves. Everything was on sale. It's the going out of business for a day sale, something, whatever. I don't know. So, and see, this is the way I normally clean up. I just go like that, and I close the garage door, and the mess goes away. But yeah, I'm gonna hook that up. There's not really much I can test other than grounding the wire, which I'm 98% sure that's going to work. But there you have it. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do this yet. I was thinking about just sticking wire in there and taping the whole thing up. Not 100% sure. Believe it or not, this wire, I said it was black, but it actually is more gray than black. Yeah, that does look like the same color wire to me. Slightly faded maybe on this car. I actually took a lot of extra wire out of the harness. It was very hard to dig because I didn't have a razor on me at the time in the junkyard. But after I kept, peeling away, I gave up after a certain length, but it ends up being its perfect length. So once I get that guy in, I think I should be good. I can put the air bonnet back in, make sure it doesn't stall or anything like that. And I like it. pretty good. Pretty fixed, I think. A few other things I got to do. I'm going to fix the battery cable. I want to see if I can epoxy this. This thing was just sitting on the exhaust manifold, and it kind of didn't melt, but had a very high potential to. It was getting hot, I could say that much. What else? Yeah, I think we're all set. I don't know what I'm going to do yet with the computer for the ABS. What I'm going to do with those wires. I gather it comes out to some degree, but it's probably taped in because this is taped in. You know, I don't think they just put it on top. I think it's made like that with the car. Like this whole thing here, this was underneath here, and I had to pull it out of the way to make it clear the space because it was not going to. That booster was not going in. I got worried there for a second, but it all worked out. Like I said, Dodge Shadow. That was the brake pedal. Managed to move the bezel best I can. It has the same height that it did, and it stops like a normal car. So, do I end this video? I think I should. I can publish it. It's been going on for a few weeks now. I got this. I got to put a. I just had something blocking off this thing, but I got to get just a vacuum cap plug. Something along those lines. Or I can just make that shorter. Either way, it's going to be fine. And this is pretty much fixed. And I got to do tie rods on it too. I realized on this side when I was looking down here, there's a boot ripped. Right. Tie rod was ripped. Come on. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, I think you can see it right there. That's ripped. It's ripped pretty bad, but it looks different here. But yeah, I'm going to fix that wire. And I think this car is pretty much done for what we wanted to accomplish in this video. And that's first diagnosing the ABS system, and then realizing that it's not worth putting the money into because ultimately this costed a lot. It's a lot of bullshit I had to go to do this, and unfortunately, it was like $450 just for the pump, and then this whole the master cylinder assembly here. If there's something wrong with that, then that's a whole other ball of wax. So I think there are people selling them for like $550, and the other one is $450 plus tax plus shipping. I mean, you're going to spend $1,000 to get it like this, and then you look at me under the car. You're going to need brake lines eventually. You're going to need those ABS sensors because all of the sensors are the insulation's coming off them. So, I mean, truthfully, it's better. I'll say that much. Is it perfect? Probably not. It may even be better. Now I understand how it works a little better. 10 pounds of pressure on it. So you have a brake pedal. A lot of times, most cars that have disc brakes end up. Oh wow! It just stops. It stops before you even get to that point. So that's kind of how it. But it doesn't have that super high hard pedal that it did have. But it just didn't stop, and it would sink, every time. So there was some issue going on. I really don't, because the motor kept buzzing on and off. So in the end, I just didn't think the the pump motor was really any good. But there's so many things that can go wrong. They supposedly the recall was covered, and try to go back for a lifetime thing. They always try to sell you something else, which is totally typical of a dealer. The dealer. It was a weird bleeding process. You had to bleed the I think right front, left rear, left front, right rear, right front. Or maybe it was that side first, and no, it was that side, that side, and then this side. So everything about it was just like it goes against what you learn as a mechanic. And it's been a while since I did it. I got a lot of cars to work right, but these were cars that were like 5 years old back then. So like the pumps and everything really weren't that bad. And most of the time it was because somebody changed the caliper and then the whole thing got messed up. So that's what I was hoping for this girl's car, because she only has 70,000 miles on it. But they say that the recall was done in 1996. And obviously if they actually did it right, that means the parts they're putting in aren't lasting, because the car didn't really drive, And I think that's the reason why the car had 70,000 miles. Nobody felt comfortable with these brakes. So I did the car a service, I think, more than anything. Oh yeah, the other thing is we got to pull off. I got to figure out how to pull off these moldings. This molding, I think, I don't know. These come off with a tool, but it's leaking the windshield. So I was thinking about the silicone that goes across it. It's starting to stink in the car. I got a lot of water here. It was worse than it was the first time. Oh, that's nice. The lights are on, so that means the brake light is on? Huh. Always fun to have new problems. If I turn the key off, what happens? It stays on. So this is something with the brake light switch. You know what it is? It felt kind of loose in the thing. I think there's an adjustment on it, and that's where I didn't really try. Somebody else is going to run into the same problem. Okay, it's still in there. Look, and I didn't even take the fucking one out of the junkyard. See, if I hit the brake and try to push on the fucker, that went in a lot. So I guess you got to be careful how much you pull up. It kind of doesn't really hold that wonderfully. Yeah. Why didn't I save the bracket from the guy in the junkyard? I guess now it's at a new place. I don't think it really. Yeah, there's no slot. This thing only goes in one place. That little tit there holds it. That's the nut that holds it, the bracket. But unfortunately, it seems like there's an issue with how it holds, which is a real sucky fucking thing. Damn it. I gotta come up with something with that, or see if there's like a little clip in there. The whole thing. There's that little, so there's this little serrated little thing that locks it in place there, and it just kind of lost its oomph. Once I took it out of this, because it totally had to be in a different position, and I think it was in further. It wasn't by much, but it moved out, and then after that, it hasn't gone back in so well. So I'm a little concerned about that. I got to see if there's a part number available. But like I can push it in, it pulls back out, which is normal. And I would bet that the light is off right now, but it just doesn't have, the spring tension of the switch itself is pushing back on it. So right now, if I push back on the pedal, or I hit it hard and let go, do that a few times. So far, so good, but it wasn't on before until I started driving it. You understand? So like if there's a certain amount of pressure that the switch needs, it'll overcome how tight that thing is. Usually they're pretty tight, and you got to really yank on the pedal to adjust it. Or the strength of the pedal does adjust it, but it just doesn't move after that. It's hard to move. It should be hard to move. So that's a new thing. So well, I'm going to try to wire that wire. But other than that, I think I'm done. Thanks for watching. You've witnessed a Dodge Dynasty getting from four-wheel ABS to conventional brakes with keeping the four-wheel disc, and I believe working properly as it should. All right, thanks for watching.